Okay, done with the topping process or procedure. You can still see a very fine line of black around the inside of the chamber, and you'll never get rid of that. The wood, if it's a smoked pipe, the wood will darken all the way down vertically. The walls of the chamber will always look, you could cut this off halfway down right here and you'd still see that slightly black ring around the inside. So don't go chasing that. You can't get rid of it. The edge here, there's just a tiny bit of like corrugation-y stuff around the edge, and that's okay because of what we're about to do next. You don't want to take off any more material than necessary. In this case, the lines of the pipe were not affected at all. I used a caliper here a minute ago, and I can't even measure how little we got off of there because of the imprecision of zeroing it on the bottom of the bowl. But I would estimate it's about 1/4 of a millimeter. So it's not enough to qualify as a topping other than in the technical sense. Oh yeah, we're doing that. But in the usual sense, people are used to seeing ridiculously shortened pipes with the word topping. This is a cosmetic topping, let's put it that way, as opposed to somebody that takes off a 1/4 inch or something like that. So alrighty, now the next thing, I've got a little steel tray, an eyedropper, and plain old hardware store alcohol. You don't need the drinkable kind. Never found a need for that. And used to use it. It didn't seem to make any difference. Grain alcohol as opposed to the solvent type, but the hardware store type works fine, especially for stuff like this. Okay, I put a little splash in there, and I'm going to use it in the same way that you would use water and raise the grain when sanding something. And here's what I mean by that. Here's one of our many strips of 600. It's 3M. Also, don't use that blonde-backed light paper that you can get in hardware stores. It's open coat, and that'll just kind of fall apart on you. You want the stuff that's designed, I guess its primary purpose in the industry is for auto refinishing, and they call it wet or dry usually. And it's always got a darker colored back on it. So we're about to go after the entire pipe now. We need to cut through the color layer and get rid of all of these dark spots, and also so that it'll match the rim when we stain it. Now, even though this is a lot of work, the good news is when you have to take the sides down and the rest of the Stummel down, the matching of the color of the rim to the sides is not as much of a problem. You might have to use a little heavier there, but color matching, when you only top and you leave the original finish everywhere else, that is a beast. That's a very specialized, hard to master thing. Takes a long time to learn. We're not going to do that. We're going to have a very close but approximate color. When we redo this, it won't be under, it'll be within 1% or 2% of what it was, which would be unacceptable if we were only doing the rim. But since we're going to be doing the whole pipe, that makes that part far less critical. So here's the sanding procedure, and you could do this with water, but then you're going to have to slow everything down. You're truly going to raise grain, but you have to dry it for all of the succeeding finishing steps, where alcohol is instantly dries. And I use it just like you would use water when sanding any other wood project. And sure enough, we're getting the crap off of there. Now these what look to be these fingerprint marks that look like burn marks, they usually come off. It's very rare that they don't just come away along with the rest of the color. It's like it's ink usually, or maybe ashes from handling tobacco and stuff. But that usually just comes away, and there we go. This is going to be a really pretty pipe. The stamping on this is razor sharp, and the grain is certainly above normal. It's the straight grain nomenclature, something Barling didn't use a whole lot. Now be very careful here that you don't round the rim any more than absolutely, or not more than necessary. You're going to round it some, but you want to control that, not suddenly say, whoops, I went too far. So be very conscious of not doing that unless you intend to do that. Meaning, let's leave the rim to the last thing. And you just keep doing what I'm doing here, swabbing on alcohol. I use my pinky finger and just wipe it on there. You have to refresh it more often than water because it evaporates so much quicker. But it's no big deal. You just know that going in and keep it coming. And it also cuts down on any dust. I don't have to run a vacuum system when sanding like this because it kind of turns into a slimy stuff, whatever this you call it. But okay, so I'm going to once again shut off the camera, and I'm going to finish doing what you've just now seen me do for about a third of the pipe. I'm going to do it to the whole thing, then turn the camera back on.